All right, Shalom Yashrala. Call Halal Yahweh Bahashim Yahweh Shah Yahweh Bahashim Yahweh Shah Waharaka Kodash Brakathum. I like to give double honors to the apostles, bishops, and elders of Great Millstone who rule well. Salutations to the select number of Akyam pushing its truth and sincerity in four corners of the round earth. And salutations to the select number of Aqua that they're listening. Now, who we have here on the screen, this is I think this came probably about 2 weeks ago. Bury Me Baba Kusha. Because I initially did a lesson on this, but I just wanted to redo it due to some recording issues. But let me see something. Bury Me Baba Kusha. Floyd Mayweather's claim of being scammed out of money. Sorry, it was a little choppy, choppy with that. But yeah, man, Jake, trusting in their enemies and so forth, and especially Floyd. Floyd knows where the I can't find that video, but he has a good sense of that, man. This there should be no cloak for their sins, right? I'll get that here shortly as well. But I'm gonna let the excerpt of this clip play due to the fact, he was, he's the spokesperson, for the small hats, only for a small hat to only be scammed out of 170 million by one of them. Now, of course, that manager, that money management guy, Jonah Resnitz, okay, he's the money manager for Floyd, okay? So, he's refuting that and saying, he's going to back it up, I guess, when they go to court, if it even goes to court, right? But yeah, so the total was 175 millions. But here it is, this clip right here, the Lord just showing Jake, man, who's who. Jake, we're stiff-necked people, man. Our people are stiff-necked, and it's only gonna take divine intervention, man, to get us out of this hell, man. Here it is, this man then amassed over $1 billion and getting took for it, and getting took for his riches. But can't pity that, man. You're trusting in a system that wasn't built for you in the first place. Okay, Babylon the Great is a punishment for the Israelites. Okay, but I'm gonna let the excerpt of this clip play, and I'm gonna get some scriptures.
And like I said before, I'm not with you guys 10%, 50%. I will always be the voice for the people in Israel. I will always stand behind the country of Israel, the one and only Floyd Money Mayweather in Israel. I will always be here for you guys when you guys don't have a voice.
But who's gonna be there for Floyd, right? Because contrary to popular belief, Floyd is, he's an old school smart guy. I know people clown him about being illiterate and possibly not being the best reader, but I know when it comes to money, Floyd, he's gonna track that. When so I guess to lighten the load, he hired a money manager, right? And then when you're making that type of money, okay, it's wise to have a lawyer and then hire another lawyer to watch that lawyer you've hired. You got one accountant. Guess what? You got another accountant to watch that accountant. So probably something came up that popped up as a red flag to somebody. You know, if Floyd didn't acknowledge it, somebody that, you know, who knows Floyd's situation acknowledged it. You know, but who's got Floyd's back? You see that? Okay, this is Ecclesiasticus chapter 12 verse 10. Never trust thine enemy, for like as an iron rusteth, so is his wickedness. Okay, here it is. Floyd outsmarted Bob Harum, who was a lawyer in his heyday, in his younger years, got out of his contract, right? Only just to get bamboozled out of 175 mil by that small hat money manager. But you know, once again, man, this is the whole premise of this lesson. Never trust thine enemy. And Jake keeps trusting, man, rather than trusting in Yahweh Bahashim Yahweh Shah. Okay, let me start this over. Never trust thine enemy, for like as an iron rusteth, so is his wickedness. Though he humble himself and go crouching, yet take good heed and beware of him. Okay? Even though they come off humble and, you know, just, you know, Floyd, this, save the charm. You know, say, or I shall say, save the sugar coat, you know. Because we on to you. All Jake should be on. You know, I say this. You know, it's a lot of, you know, knucklehead 2/3 Jake. But even a lot of knucklehead 2/3 Jake is, you know, then caught on to the so-called white man. Like, nah, bro. Or, you know, the small hats. You know, even knucklehead 2/3 Jake then like, nah. I don't. Hell, Jake, you know, you just got some Jake who straight up, you know. Which, you know, we're in a society, man. It's hard to, you know, dodge particular groups. You know, we're in, you know, it's a melting pot. It's Babylon, right? But, you know, you got some Jake who stand 10 toes down on that. You know what I'm saying? Just, you know, which is good through the spirit and power of Yahweh Shem Yahshua. Okay? Because guess what? Now you're going to be held to a spiritual standard of knowing who your enemy is, man. Okay? Especially when in years past, when Jake coming up asking them dumbass questions. Well, not fully not understanding what we're doing at the time. But Jake, there should be no cloak for their sins. I'll say that. But more so when we have the sign of the 12 tribes on the highways and byways. You don't ask about no other nation, but you ask about the so-called white man. Okay? And P.S. the Amalek is what? Is the grandson of Esau. Okay? So also let's get that, you know, understood. Okay? Ain't no new breakdown. Okay? Amalek is the okay, it's biblical. Okay? So, you know, make sure that's understood. Okay, this is let me reread verse 11 in its entirety. Though he humble himself and go crouching, yet take good heed and beware of him, and thou shalt be unto him as if thou hast wiped a looking glass, and thou shalt know that his rust hath not been altogether wiped away. Okay, I don't give a damn how much a small hat Edomite, you know, try to engulf themselves in the culture of what Jake has influenced, created. You know, you still the damn enemy. Okay, that you know, the wickedness is still there, man. Okay, if you're an Edomite, if you're Amalek, you're through. You know, point blank, period. And Jake is getting a crash course on, hey, who your enemy is, man. And E is screaming at the top. Bro, it shouldn't take 2026, but hey, here it is. It is prophecy. It is prophecy. So, you know, it is what it is, right? You know, hey, a lot of our people waking up now too. You know, we're in the 11th hour. So, A lot of our people are waking up, you know. So you know, so that's to be expected, but it's like, you know, like what you know, what is Jake doing, you know, what is, you know, Jake, you know, what is Jake doing, man? Okay? What is what is you know, Jake seeing? Like what are you seeing when you get into your car, when you go outside your house? What are you seeing on news? You know, just your, you know, your so-called reality, you know, because here at GMS we see all the BS that's going on. First and foremost, it was prophesied, and then two, that was a prime example. It's like an example that was shown through this video. Never trust thine enemy, man. And here it is, you out 175 million. Like, you know, like we always state, hey, shit, I'm missing seven. If I'm missing $150, guess what? Hey, Chase is getting a call. They getting a call. We gonna figure that out, and Albaratazada is gonna be put back in my account, just to keep it a buck, man. Okay, but Jake is too dependent on this society. Jake is too complacent, you know. And granted, yeah, like I ain't talking about the boxing IQ, the legacy, legendary status of Floyd. That's a given. I'm talking about being simple and knowing. Like you've been knowing though, bro. You know, Floyd's been knowing this, but you know, when you're a part of that club, you know, particular rules are applied. You know, so this is what you signed up for. You know, verse 12. Set him not by thee, lest when he hath overthrown thee, he stand up in thy place. Neither let him sit at thy right hand, lest he seek to take thy seat. And though, Salakia, and thou at the last remember my words, and be pricked therewith. Okay? So your enemy has no, they have no good intentions for you, man. They have no good intentions. Here it is. Yahweh Shemiah Shah gave us the blueprint. To woke up, you know, men of the Lord. You know, hey, bro, you don't need to take our word for it. Of course, do your own research, like I was told from the apostles, bishops, and elders on down. I do my own research, and then collectively, hey, we do research together because we're a body. So we understand who's who and what's what. But a lot of these Jake who've made it, you know, in this society, you know, are getting a wake up call, a very much so rude awakening, man. That is much needed. Okay. Bear with me, Baba Kushah. This is Yahweh Shah HaMashiach speaking. This is Luke chapter 6, verse 24. But woe unto you that are rich, for ye have received your consolation. Okay? And like I always like to say, you know, let's not be simple here, man. Let's not be simple. I'm not telling you to be docile and desolate and broken, be bummy. No. Guess what? We'd get admonished if we moving, you know, at a low vibration from the apostles, bishops, and elders. Nah, bro. Scriptures tell you, hey, you don't work, you don't eat, right? So, you know, let's not be simple. But, you know, if you reached hundreds of millions and millions and millions in this society, that's your consolation, man. You're really not gonna be worried about the highways and byways and prophecy, just to be honest. Now, can the Lord wake up men who, and yeah, you know, you got examples of some, you know, of so who's that man, Salaki, it's slipping Joe, let me see. Bury me, Baba Kushah. Let me see. Yeah, Joseph of Arimathea, man. Right? Okay. He was, we seen the, he was a wealthy Jake, right? And a part of the, high council, you know what I'm saying? So, you have those examples, so, make no mistake, I don't, I don't like that, simple mindedness, none of us do here. Oh, I ain't supposed to eat, I ain't supposed to, bro, ain't nobody tell you that. But the level that Floyd's at, yeah, yeah. Now it can only take Yahweh Shemi Ashah to have that. That would be between the Most High and Floyd, right? But bro, I'll brought this out that's being more so clarified in what I'm saying and understood. Bear me, Baba Kushah. This is back in Ecclesiasticus chapter 12, verse 13. Who will pity a charmer that is bitten with a serpent, or any such as come nigh wild beast? I can't pity that, man. That's why you want to get away from Bob Harum so bad. Because when you do read up on the article, the money manager had been around for a minute, gained Floyd's trust, but that's how snakes move, man. That's how snakes move. Okay? Because it was always, it is what it is. It's prophecy, and you got it coming if you hanging with the enemy, bro. That's the scriptures could. The scriptures are top tier and put it the best. Verse 14. So one that goeth to a sinner and is defiled with him in his sins, who will pity? Hell no, I can't feel sorry for that man. Okay, and guess what? There's no hate, because you do have Jake who are miserable and just go out of their way to just to talk shit and ain't got shit to show for themselves. Because guess what? When it comes to boxing, I'm a huge fan of Floyd Mayweather. But I believe he's arguably the greatest boxer that I've seen. In all honesty, just me, just my opinion, just me as a man. That's neither here nor there. But I think Floyd, he's the definition of a boxer. Verse 15. For a while he will abide with thee, but if thou begin to fall, he will not tarry. Nobody's sticking up for Floyd. Okay, and like that article said, what's my man's name? Jonah? I think, hold on, what was his name? So like he buried me, Baba Kushah. Let me see. Bury me, Baba Kushah. I think my man's name was Reichnitz. Yeah, Reichnitz. I think Jonah Reichnitz. I think. Yeah, man. So it's oh man. It's up, man. It's up for 2/3 of our people. It's up for these celebrities. This place is at its tail end, man. It's at the end. Okay, verse 15. For a while he will abide with thee, but if thou begin to fall, he will not tarry. Okay, so he gained Floyd's trust, and the rest is history. Verse 16. An enemy speaketh sweetly with his lips, but in his heart he imagineth how to throw thee into a pit. He will weep with his eyes, but if he find opportunity, he will not be satisfied with blood. Okay, because that, bro, that 175 mil, bro, that's messing with a man's livelihood. Just like I said, that $150, guess what, bro? That goes towards a phone bill, gas, insurance, all that. You messing with my livelihood, right? Verse 17. If adversity come upon thee, thou shalt find him there first. And though he pretend to help thee, yet shall he undermine thee. Okay? You know, he's probably the, you know, type of small head to, oh man, let's see where this, you know, where the money's at. You know what I'm saying? No one know where the money at. Probably on an offshore account, pocketed, transferred, hidden in a safe, all type of shit. Wired somewhere else, all that. He done stole the shit and help you look for it. Verse 18. He will shake his head and clap his hands and whisper much and change his countenance. Okay? That's what the enemy does, man. Okay? These Edomites and these small hats are not Jake's friends. Point blank period, man. You know, and Floyd is learning a very valuable lesson, a crash course, okay, of never trust thine enemy. Okay? It didn't say, well, sometime. No, it said never. Okay? But that's all I have on this. And Abba Ratazah, this is edifying for the body. So once again with that, call halal Yahweh Bahashim Yahweh Shah, Yahweh Bahashim Yahweh Shah, Waharakah Kodash Brakathum. Once again, I'd like to give double honors to the apostles, bishops, and elders of Great Millstone who rule well, and salutations to the select number of Akyam pushing this truth and sincerity in four corners of the round earth, and salutations to the select number of Aquat that they're listening. Shalom.